All right, so let's get down to these points. Watching a second time, the whole scene with Poe and Hawks, as I said a few times already, the first time I saw it, didn't quite get the joke, didn't even quite understand the structure of the joke. Watch it a second time. Be perfectly honest, I don't know that it made any more sense watching it a second time than the first time. I thought it was cringy, corny, too long, unfunny, a little waste. Two or three exchanges too long, and I still don't understand it. Okay, so there's another scene that I didn't list at the top of the show, but I did sort of pay more attention to the second time around. And this was Finn, walking out from a coma or whatever the hell he was in, from the stretcher bed. There's these bags, they're all pouring water out. And as I mentioned in the last video, I just didn't find that was funny. Obviously, it's a sight gag. I get it. It didn't make sense on all levels, having 6 bags. Who has that? How is it they're all pouring water out? He had, did he really require 6 IV bags? Seriously. And he's walking around. I saw it the first time, didn't find it funny. Saw it a second time, still didn't find it funny. What I will say, in all fairness, when I saw it the first time, didn't hear many people laughing about it. The audience really didn't think much of it. But in all fairness, I will say that the lady sitting next to me wasn't with my party. Some random stranger lady with her party was just cracking the hell up over it. She thought it was funny as hell. She couldn't get enough of that. So, just to be fair, there were some people who thought that was just the funniest thing. Not me. Not even the second time seeing it. But apparently some people thought that was like the funniest thing ever. So there you go. Okay, now another point that didn't mention at the top of the show, because really at the top of the show I was mentioning things I was actually looking out for, but I am including now some things that just stood out to me watching a second time that maybe I didn't expect to stand out, seeing it a second time. And this is having to do with Rose Tico. Now, when you see it the first time around, and we see her for the first time, she's fangirling. She's, oh, you're the hero, and aren't you the guy who did this, that, and the other? And I say, yeah, that's me. I mean, what's up? Oh, I just thought you. And she went on and on and on. At the time when you've seen it for the first time, you don't know who this person is. She's just a random person in the film. I wasn't watching trailers, so this is pretty much the first time I see this lady ever in my lifetime. So when I see her for the first time, I had no idea she was going to play a major part in the film. I just thought she was just some random few line person. So I just dismissed it. She was talking and he was responding, and then it turns out they're going to go on a mission and do a whole bunch of stuff. So when I first saw her for the first time I watched it, I was just very indifferent. Okay, random. She was an engineer or something. Just okay. They're talking. They're having a conversation. They're talking stuff, and then it progresses along, and it turns out they're going to go on a mission and do a lot of stuff. So I'll just let it go. Then, of course, at the end, as things progress, we see just what her character is like, and realize she becomes very annoying. And at the end, she knocks Finn off his path when he's trying to do something heroic, and She has lines talking about, had to, who you look. I don't even want to repeat it. I don't even want to try to remember what she said. It just so annoyed me. I'm not sure I even remember her lines. I think I've struck it from my memory. I'm just so annoyed what she did and what she said. Let's just leave it at that. I discussed it at length in my review. At length in that review, I refer you back to my review for really go into that little scene in quite some detail. Okay, that said, when I come back to watch this film the second time and see her for the first time, I just really am super annoyed with her from the get-go now. Whereas the first time was just very indifferent. Okay, here's a random engineer on the ship talking to him. When I seen it a second time, I'm just like super annoyed with her from the fussing get-go. From the get-go, everything she's saying from the jump is super annoying. You see, now when I saw it the first time, she wasn't super annoying until like later in the movie, and it's particularly when she, knocked off Finn and all that kind of stuff. Then that just was like took the cake, like the straw that broke the camel's back. Okay, now I'm just totally annoyed with her from the get-go. So everything she says throughout the whole movie is annoying me, like anything. I didn't even know I was going to have that reaction. Wasn't expecting that, going in to see it a second time. Caught me a little by surprise, but she just got these emotions fired up. First time I even lay eyes on her, which is not a good thing, but that's that is the effect of having seen her before and built up these emotions about her from having watched it the first time. So that was like something interesting that happened seeing the movie the second time. Okay, as far as the training, as I said, I really didn't remember much training. I've seen it a second time. Again, the training, it was nothing you would really consider training. She lifted some pebbles, I recall. He saw her fishing. It was almost like she was an intern, like follow me around for the day while I do this boring ass stuff, this silly ass stuff, this disgusting stuff with drinking whatever the hell that milk or whatever the hell that was from whatever the hell creature that was. It was almost like life lessons. It was no training like we've seen training before with Jedis and young Jedis and Jedlings and children Jedi and all that. Anything like that. No honing the force, lift up your spaceship from the pond, focus, do this, that, and the other. None of that. No practice fighting of any significance. Use the force now. Now do it with the force. None of that. You couldn't even call it. I wouldn't even call that training. And people say, "Oh, she had 3 lessons." Someone needs to comment down below and name them 1, 2, 3 what they were, because that did not. I would want my money back if that was the training. If he was running a Jedi school like he was, and that was the training, and that's what I got for my money, I would want my money back, because that was no kind of legitimate training. That was like follow me around. That was like Kids Day at school, where that's like Children's Day at your job, where your kid follows you around. Like, you don't do anything meaningful. You just sort of make believe you doing meaningful stuff. That's what that was like. That was no kind of Jedi training. No. So, as far as training is concerned, you cannot consider that training. You can't now say, Oh no, but Rey is trained now. She went there to that island and Luke trained her, so don't go there. No, we can go there because that was not training. Let's just get that straight. Okay, as far as Rey's parents are concerned, I listened closely the second time, and listening to it a second time, it seemed a little more ambiguous than when I heard it the first time. I mean, the first time I heard it, yes, he said there was no bodies and all that kind of stuff. And my thinking on that was that, well, he said there were no bodies, but how would he even know what they were? And second of all, why even believe him? He's the least credible person in the whole movie. So why even believe him for a second that he's representing that? Now, seeing it a second time, uh, I still have my doubts that what he said was true, but when I listened closer the second time, it seemed less that that was what he was representing, and more seeming like he was reading her mind, so to speak, sort of reiterating her thoughts, that he was articulating what he was detecting, that he was more reiterating what she was thinking at that moment in her mind, rather than offering up his own personal knowledge, anything that he knows from his own thoughts. So that's how it came across when I listened to it more closely on how he's presenting it. As far as the Jedi books is concerned, some people say, no, they got burned up, and other people, no, they didn't get burned up. Okay, so I paid close attention to this, and this is what I saw. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I saw. People say, oh, no, she took them onto the Falcon. Okay, so there's a scene there, and I was really looking out for this. There's a scene where she is just getting onto the Falcon. It shows her closing a drawer really fast. Lasts literally like a split second. You don't even really see what was in the drawer. You just see that there was something in the drawer, but you really don't even pick up on it. If you weren't paying attention, you would literally miss it. But it did seem like she had just was putting something in a drawer, or had just put something in a drawer, or saw something in a drawer and closed the drawer, and it's not quite clear what it was. Now, fast forward to the end or near the end, when they're all on the ship saying bye bye, we escaped the planet, we're on our way to the next adventure, and people are laying down on the beds and on the ship, all relaxing. Then we see what appears to be the same drawer, and she's either opening the drawer or closing the drawer more slowly, and you clearly see books in the drawer. And then you say, so that's seems to be what we saw before real fast. We weren't sure what she was stowing away. Okay, now we see that it's these books on the Falcon. That's what I saw. Okay, as far as the Mary Poppins scene, yeah, so she's on the bridge. That whole bridge goes up in a fireball. She in fact has her back turned to the window, whatever you want to call it. She gets engulfed in a fireball. There's no two ways about that. Then we later see her out in space, Her body, her clothes, not damaged at all. Which I wanted to sort of confirm that, seeing a second time, whether there's any evidence of being burned or singed or anything. Didn't see any of that. As far as the mechanics of it, the logic of it, I'm gonna really break that down in another video. Keep your eye out for that video, because that one's going to be a doozy. But that's as much as I'm going to say to that scene at the moment. But I did want to sort of confirm just how badly she may have been injured in the blast, because I wasn't sure of that, because it caught us all by surprise. And I want to see what kind of injury or damage she had when we first see her out in space. The rest of it, I'm going to go into a lot more detail in a separate video, so wait for that. Alright, so the Holdo crash, the Holdo scene, going to light speed, very dramatic, very spectacular, worth seeing a second time. Brilliantly executed. Really, there's nothing I needed confirmation of, really, except to see just the spectacle of it. I touched on it in my review, but I'm going to really go in further detail and further depth about it in a subsequent video. So look out for that. That one will be pretty good too. Okay, so the Phasma fight with Finn. I didn't time it, but it looked like it lasted about a minute and a half. I didn't think it was. And seeing it, focusing on it just to see whether it was a good fight, too long, too short. I thought it was okay. It wasn't, a major fight scene. It was a minor fight scene. I didn't come away thinking, oh, that was just so a waste of time. They didn't even do anything. It was so short, blah, blah, blah. No, I couldn't really say that. I thought it was of a reasonable length for the situation. It had a reasonable level of sophistication. It was suspenseful and dramatic. So I can't quibble with that. I really don't have any beef with that, saying, oh, but she was so short and they really didn't do much. No, I thought it was okay. It wasn't a highlight of the movie, but for the situation they was in, I'm okay by it. I don't have a problem with that. As far as Luke and Leia is concerned, and then meet up, that will be in all likelihood a subject of another video, and I'll go into a lot more detail at that time, so watch for that. Okay, as far as Luke vanishing is concerned, as I said, it was just kind of seeing how they staged it, since first time really catch you by surprise. You weren't no one who was expecting that. Who in the world was expecting that he was going to vanish from exhaustion or giving himself up to the Force, whatever the hell supposedly happened. But I did want to see whether there was any wiggle room there. Whereas maybe he didn't just vanish into air. Maybe I'm going to take the extreme. Maybe he just ran off real fast, and didn't vanish. Because I just need to see it a second time. Maybe they just cut away and cut back. No, I needed to confirm that he vanished into thin air. And by and large, it looked like he vanished into thin air. And I did not see any obvious wiggle room with that. So be it. Another point that people made was the fact that when he was a force projection, he walked out to fight with Kylo Ren, and people pointed out that, oh, you know, we knew something was up because he wasn't leaving any red footprints, and that was a giveaway that something was up, something wasn't right, and also the lightsaber color didn't make sense, blah blah blah. Didn't pick up any of this the first time. Want to take a closer look at this a second time. Alright, so now we get to the fight scene where Luke is walking out over the snow or whatever the hell that was. He's not leaving any kind of red footprints or tracings, as people have pointed out. And I think at one point they was fighting, he was twirling around, again, not leaving any sort of red residue under his feet, which should have been a tip off that something's not right. Again, I did not pick up on any of this while I was watching the first time, but it was very obvious the second time. As far as the color of his lightsabers, you know, I really wasn't paying attention to that, so I missed out on that particular point. And other people also noted that he was more clean shaven, more kept, and younger in this scene than we knew him to be at that time. Again, I really didn't pay much attention to that. I just thought, look, this is a big battle, I'm going to clean myself up for the big battle. Didn't really say to myself, oh, he looks remarkably younger. Something's weird about that. No, I really didn't make much of that. Okay, guys, so that's my recap of what I picked up watching this movie a second time. As I said, that was quite a while ago, and this is all from recollection. So I invite you to stay tuned for a lot of exciting videos. So, and again, thank you for joining me for 30 Days of Less Jedi Miss, and I will see you next time.